Gonna be a long hot summer, baby. Keeping cool will be the thing. You kept me warm.
Hey everyone, we are on the ground at Yorkton, Saskatchewan. This is an old World War II flight training airport. Our destination today is Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and we are gonna see some interesting whiskey. I'm not gonna tell you anything about it until we get there. So, could be a fairly long flight to Saskatoon. The winds are howling here, really ripping. I don't expect to get...
Mike Victor Uniform is on radio.
Foxtrot, Mike Victor Uniform.
Mike Victor Uniform, I got the VFR flight plan now. You can squawk 4746.
4746, Mike Victor Uniform.
Roger, report airborne.
Report airborne, Mike Victor Uniform. Regina Radio, Foxtrot, Mike Victor Uniform, entering runway 31 for departure.
Mike Victor Uniform, roger.
Airspeed's alive. Regina Radio, Mike Victor Uniform, airborne off of 3-1.
Mike Victor Uniform, roger. Your VFR flight plan is open. Report clear of the zone.
Report clear of the zone, Mike Victor Uniform. Regina Radio, Foxtrot, Mike Victor Uniform, leaving the zone, Yorkton.
Mike Victor Uniform, roger. Have a good day.
Mike Victor Uniform, thank you. Okay, so if you're wondering what's going on here, let me give you a little bit of backstory. I've had a YouTube channel, Glen and Friends Cooking. Started that in 2007, so 19 years ago. For 19 years, I've been putting out 2 videos a week, sometimes 3 videos a week on that cooking channel. That's a lot of content. And so early on, I was working really busy in the film business. And flying all over the world and doing jobs, you know, in Hong Kong, Japan, Iceland, you know, all over the place. And so whenever I would go to those places, I would make a whole bunch of phone calls before I went and get somebody who I could film with, be it a chef or a restaurant owner or a distiller or a brewer or all of those things. And I would do these sort of travel videos where we would go, we would meet somebody, we would do something cool. And then eventually I stopped doing that because it didn't quite fit what the cooking channel was, and those videos always got the lowest number of views, and it was tough. It was tough, so I gave it up. But it's always been stuck in the back of my brain. And for a little while, we had a travel channel. Julie and I had a travel channel where, you know, when we were traveling for work to film stuff, we would also travel and film stuff for the travel channel. My desire now is to take Mike Victor Uniform and put all of that together, fly somewhere cool, do something interesting, meet some interesting people, have some interviews, and put up interesting content, you know, crisscrossing Canada. And this idea sort of solidified about a year ago when I did I flew to Weyburn, Saskatchewan to eat at the last all-you-can-eat KFC buffet in Canada. And then I've made some other ones along the way that are sort of, you know, putting them together. So I'm solidifying this idea. I'm trying to kind of figure out again how to work on my own, how to pack the gear, how to pack the right gear, not too much gear, not too much weight. I mean, I'm loaded right to the gills right now because I brought everything I could think of. And so now it's like pare it down, simplify it, and then also just dial in how I want to tell these stories. So the first few are going to be a little bit wonky. On this trip, we're doing 3. They'll come out over the next little while, and I hope you're going to like them. I really do. And I, you know, take requests. If you know somewhere cool in Canada that I should go, let me know, and I'm going to try and see how I can work them together. Of course, all of this is moot if I can't pay for it. So, I'm looking for sponsors, and I'm trying to figure out how to get sponsorships to pay for things like fuel and hotels and things like that. So if you're a company that wants to sponsor me, get in touch. I'd love to have the sponsorship. But I hope you're going to like this stuff. Let me know down below.
Mike Victor Uniform, no further traffic for you. You can call Saskatoon Tower now, 118.3.
118.3, Mike Victor Uniform, thank you. Saskatoon Tower, this is Foxtrot, Mike Victor Uniform with information Charlie.
Mike Victor Uniform Tower squawking.
4746, Mike Victor Uniform.
Mike Victor Uniform identified, runway 33, altimeter 3004, and you're cleared for right base.
Right base, runway 33, Mike Victor Uniform.
Mike Victor Uniform Tower.
Mike Victor Uniform.
Winds at 310 at 10, gusting 20. Do you want to land runway 27 if you can hold short of runway 33 with 4,715 feet?
I can do that, Mike Victor Uniform.
Victor Uniform, roger. And you re-cleared straight in for runway 27.
Straight in 27, Mike Victor Uniform. Mike Victor Uniform entering the zone, 3,300.
Sure. And air number 1 for runway 27. Traffic's Q400 will be landing runway 33.
Looking for traffic, Mike Victor Uniform.
Mike Victor Uniform, the wind 31015, gusting 20, hold short of runway 33 and clear to land runway 27.
Cleared to land 27, hold short 33, Mike Victor Uniform.
Wind check 05320, 16 gust 20. Mike Victor Uniform, I'm actually going to get you to do a 180 back all the way to Foxtrot. Save you some time. Contact ground 1219 on Foxtrot.
180 and backtrack to Foxtrot, Mike Victor Uniform.
Tower Foxtrot through the Sierras, right down wind 33, touch and go.
So what am I looking at? It actually, in most cases, I would say this is where it all begins. Well, actually, it probably all begins over there in the
Yeah.
in the
noisy one over
in the
there.
noisy one. But in this distillery, it actually starts with you planting grain, probably in the next couple of weeks, or have you already done it?
No, it'll still be a couple weeks out.
Yeah, a couple weeks,
So
you're out
we
there.
just got rid of snow last week. So
Okay. So those 6 bins are 18 months worth of
distilling.
process.
Yeah.
But they represent how many acres of growing?
About
65?
140.
Oh, okay.
So 140
Yeah.
acres per year of grain
Yeah.
Production.
goes in there, and then you mill it yourself. And you said you've got extra for crop failure.
Yes.
Have you had a really tough year?
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, we've been 2 years where we've harvested nothing
Yes.
since we've been
Yeah.
here. So either snowed out completely or droughted out.
And then you tell people that you've got the grain from your cousin or your...
Yeah, and then we'll go out and
source it.
because we know everybody in the industry and we want something pretty specific, so we'll just start phoning around and finding out who has something. But we never buy Triticale. We'll always buy, typically we'll buy rye and then we'll make a rye whiskey. So if you see any of our ryes, you know that grain it came from Saskatchewan, but it didn't come from here.
us.
Had you distilled before? Had you brewed before?
Never.
Had you been a winemaker before?
Never.
Never.
So you had none
No.
of those things.
None of those good background stories
Yeah.
that a lot of people do have. You know,
Okay.
like, yes, it happens, but wasn't in our family.
But you knew how to grow grain.
We knew how to grow the grain.
So, and the premise was if you could grow a better quality raw ingredient, you can make a better quality finished product. And that's where we thought our niche would be.
So the CRA considers this a bonded warehouse,
Yes.
just because you've put a fence around it. And this
Yeah,
is your
fence and enough
secure.
security that they're happy that nobody's.
Yeah.
And the CRA is worried about your inventory control, so it's more about the record keeping system.
So just as I stand here and look, just the first impression, This has got to be really hard on the barrels. Outside like this, is it?
Yes. I can show you.
More so some than others, and it is interesting that we have found different coopers and different, that have done better than others.
But this is partially a poorly made barrel, but if the barrel's poorly made, it'll create enough pressure that it'll start blowing out staves. And we've had barrels that if these rivets aren't set properly, it'll actually create so much pressure, the bands will come off.
Wow. In this back section, separately fenced, I imagine this is where you started? Is this
Yeah.
was that the original fence line?
So that was the original fence
line.
Okay.
And then we just built this last year.
Yes.
With the overflow.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so here it's nice because of the racking, you can sort barrels.
Is that 1 year's production then now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I see some of these all have sold on them. So someone's already come by and said they want that barrel.
Yeah.
That is correct.
How did you end up on Triticale as the grain?
The idea was to make like the quintessential Canadian whiskey. Would have been 2013-ish.
Yes.
Over 90% of Canadian whiskey is being made from American corn at that time. And we said, okay, so we're very proud of the farming that we do in agriculture. And so the first key component was it had to come from our own fields. And we weren't going to grow malt barley. And so we wanted something really unique. And then we started doing the research. We know our background in agriculture is deep enough that we know all the plant breeders, you know everybody, and you start talking and saying, everybody was pointing us towards, you should look at Triticale because some of the research was actually done around distilling, around brewing it, around using it for something like that because the flavors are extraordinary.
Yeah.
Put it in the ground, grow it, and then see what kind of whiskey you can make out of it.
May we give this to you? You don't have to finish it, but you're more than welcome to enjoy.
So our cask strength is around, we put it in at 63.
And a half.
Depending on where they are, if they're in the sun or not, they'll either gain a percent or lose.
It's cold.
Mm-hmm.
It's cold.
Yeah.
We do a winter whiskey experience where we bring people out when there's snow on the ground, and it's usually minus 40 or minus 30.
Yeah.
And we'll draw whiskey from the barrel, but we have to take it back to the distillery to warm it up for them to try it because it will be minus 30. Yeah.
But it's quite lovely in here when it's
Yeah.
summertime and have the trees growing around.
It's nice.
Thank you.
It's very nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
There's
it
a
is.
lot of
It's,
caramels, vanillas, creme brulee.
and still that spiciness of,
No, I can-
the
yeah.
defining
Yeah.
portion of a Canadian whiskey is still there.
Yeah.
Okay, so Triticale, it's a cross between wheat and
Rye.
Yeah. So rye, known for its spiciness.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, too spicy.
Mhm.
And so this way you get away from that a really nice rye whiskey will actually burn kind of on the way down, where this doesn't do that. So it's that introduction to here. This is what a lovely Canadian whiskey can taste
It's
like.
nice and warm in my mouth, but there's no burning and
No.
a little bit of spicy and
Yeah.
You should have a really nice aftertaste. Is
yeah.
what and long lingering. That is one of John's characteristics for his whiskeys.
Yeah.
yours amazing.
Thank you. So the whiskey, the Triticale whiskey received 95 points at the International Wine and Spirits Competition. Our cask finish received 90, and our blended whiskey received 95 as well, which all came together, and along with all that we're doing, that we won Worldwide Whiskey Producer of the Year last year.
That's a great accomplishment.
Yeah, not bad for a couple of peanuts out of Saskatchewan.
Well, it's funny because we do a lot of traveling and you talk to a lot of people, and there's a lot of people doing a lot of really interesting things at their distilleries, but we seem to be one of the only ones that we've kind of taken all of them
Yeah.
and stumbled into here. This is just the way that we've always done it, and it's working out quite.
So these are all sitting outside. You showed me a damaged barrel earlier. What is your loss, that angel share loss?
So we average about 8% a year, which
Typical
is
angel share is about 2 to 3 per
Okay.
year.
Yeah.
So we just have happier angels.
So that's well, I mean that you're losing double what the industry average would be.
Yeah.
And that is, so we talked about how cold it gets here, minus 40s, how warm it gets, plus 40.
40s.
But it's also, I imagine, the swing between daytime and nighttime temperature.
Yeah.
Because the change here would be quite high.
Yeah.
It is. And we are very fortunate. We have a research trial with the local research station we have probes into the barrels that are hooked up to our weather station. So we monitor the temperature every 10 minutes. I don't know what we're ever going to do with all that data, but we have it. And it is, but yes, that's why we know how many days that the temperatures change more than 20 degrees. We follow a lot of it, and hopefully that'll lead to some good
and
data
the
in the
secret
future.
seems to be like really rapid cooling and really rapid heating. So, and it happens even when it's minus 20 outside. If you get a nice bright sunny day,
Yeah.
it'll create pressure in the barrel and off you go to the races, kind of a thing.
So you're waiting for an Alberta clipper to come through, or
Yeah,
Chinook,
yeah,
or,
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and
so
so,
change
and so then we track, because we have all this data. We can, when you buy a bottle, you'll get all the data with it, and we'll tell you how many days you had that 20-degree temperature change in 24 hours, and how many days it was over 30 degrees Celsius, and how many days it was under 30 degrees Celsius, and
how many hours of bright
we don't
sunshine?
really know what the magic mix is, but eventually we will.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the fun part of it, is that then you could say, you could kind of predict that, well, that barrel up there, because it's sitting there in the sun, is going to taste somewhat different than the other one. You'll be able to categorize it.
Do you move the barrels?
Not on purpose.
Okay.
So we do it like when we're going through and a customer always wants to buy one in the back corner.
Yep.
And if we roll them all off and roll them all back on again, but that's the
But
only
you don't
time.
share. You don't move them.
We don't rotate them.
Okay.
No. Because we are trying to have that difference between the barrels. So if I've got one that's been in a bottom rack for 4 or 5 years, I kind of want him to stay there because he's a bottom rack barrel.
So I'm looking at the sum total of your production for what? How many years here?
So our oldest whiskey is, so basically we harvest 5 to 7 years.
Yeah.
So this is about 5 years production in here.
So I'm looking at 5 years worth of production. Jack Daniels puts this much whiskey in a barrel in an afternoon.
If not in an hour.
In an hour.
Yeah.
I've been there watching them
Yes.
fill the barrels,
Yeah.
and there's 3 guys just, and then they kick them off, and they go into a truck, and the truck.
Yeah.
It's got to be relatively difficult for customers to get a bottle. How do you get a bottle of this? Like where do you sell it? Do you ship it? Is most of it already called for? Because I see a lot of barrels with sold already on them.
So the best way to get a bottle right now is through our website online.
And you'll ship.
And we'll ship.
Okay.
Yes, we can ship. We also
Can you ship anywhere in the world? Are you allowed?
Not.
Does it get gray?
Yeah.
Okay, yep.
There you go.
Yep.
And so we sell in the UK. You can find us in Germany, in Denmark, in China, in Dubai, and Abu Dhabi. And in China. So those are, and I just got back from Singapore, and it's looking very promising there. I'm off to Hong Kong and China next Wednesday.
So it's there. It's just you kind of have to know where to look for it.
Gotta hunt.
And it's not going to be at Walmart.
Yeah.
It's not that kind of a whiskey.
Or Costco.
Yeah.
And you have no plans to do that, to grow. This is
I think that
your
would take all
your
the
happy
fun out of
place.
it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like, and it's like anything that's valuable in life, you kind of have to go out and look for it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
If it's too easy, it's too easy.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's even like getting together with your best friends. It takes an effort to do that, and the effort kind of makes it partly rewarding, right?
This is rewarding. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time. I've really enjoyed myself here.
Well, good.
This is fantastic. Find a bottle, get a bottle. Hey everyone, so that is a wrap on Saskatoon. About to jump in Mike Victor uniform. Had a great day yesterday at Black Fox Distillery. It was yesterday. I only had tiny little sips of whiskey because, you know, you don't want to be drunk and flying or hungover and flying, all of those things. So sticking to the rules. Got a couple of bottles in Mike Victor uniform that I'm going to take home for Julie and I to enjoy. And we might do a video for that on the Cocktails After Dark channel. Jumping in and flying east again, we're going back to Steinbach. We're stopping into Steinbach because just outside of Steinbach, my favorite nacho / tortilla chip manufacturer makes all their chips there. So we're going to do a factory tour and we're going to taste chips right off the line. I hope you come back for that. Let's get in the air.
Saskatoon ground, this is Foxtrot, Mike Victor Uniform.
Foxtrot, Mike Victor Uniform, Saskatoon ground. Good day. I see the VFR flight plan to Yorkton at 5,500. Is that right?
That is correct, Mike Victor Uniform.
Victor Uniform, squawk code 5120, information Foxtrot. You're ready to taxi now, or you need to run it first?
5120, and I am ready to taxi. I'm at Lockhart.
Mike Victor Uniform, roger, runway 09, the active. Wind is 030 at 9, altimeter 2961. Bravo intersection from 09 has 3,800 feet remaining. Is that sufficient for departure?
I can go from Bravo.
Mike Victor Uniform, roger, runway 09 at Bravo, wind 030 at 9, altimeter 2961, taxi Alpha Bravo, contact tower 118.3, holding short.
Alpha Bravo, contact tower holding short. Mike Victor Uniform.
Mike Victor Uniform, you can switch over to tower whenever you like, 18.3, and you can expect a 3-minute delay for wake turbulence, medium HR departing from the threshold.
Switching to tower, Mike Victor Uniform. Saskatoon Tower, Foxtrot, Mike Victor Uniform, holding short 09 on Bravo for departure, and I can wait for wake turbulence.
Foxtrot, Mike Victor Uniform Tower, roger, line up on me 09er and wait. Did you say you're going to wave or wait, W-A-I-T?
Wait for wake turbulence.
Mike Victor Uniform, roger, timer says 2 minutes, 17 seconds.
Line up and wait 09, Mike Victor Uniform.
Mike Victor Uniform, proceed on course, wind now 300 at 12. From Bravo, clear for takeoff runway 09er, and other runways available if that tailwind's too much for you.
Cleared for takeoff 09, and cleared en route, Mike Victor Uniform. Airspeed's alive.
Discovery 967, contact Winnipeg Center, 119er, 901 airborne, wind 300 at 10, clear for takeoff runway 27. Takeoff runway 27, 199 airborne, Discovery 967.